What is going on, gang? Justin here, aka No Good Comics, and welcome back to the channel. Today is another album review. We're talking Avantasia, the Wicked Symphony. Yes, this is an epic, as I defined as an epic metal album here. I can't wait to talk about it. For those of you who are new, this channel is usually about comic books, but I've been kind of changing it up a little bit because I also love music, and just thought it'd be a fun thing to do to also incorporate my love for music every once in a while. And this is not just me, this is not just my idea, but I have two co-hosts with me that we've collaborated. This is not our first show either, so let me bring them on. We got my man Noah and John from Big Daddy's Comics. What is going on, fellas?
How's it going?
Good. Happy Tuesday, and even bigger, this is our happy birthday to John Big Daddy Comics, celebrating his 30th. You 30 yet, John?
Yeah, I'm 61.
Just about that.
I heard 35. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
My hair blends in with the ceiling up here.
Well, you look great, my man. You look great.
Yes. Thank you.
Man. I'm excited for tonight. I am so excited for tonight because this is a album that I picked. So for those watching, if you missed last episode, which by the way, I put the link in the description to last episode, if you guys want to hear us talk a little bit about Wild Cherry, which was Noah's pick, we are taking turns picking albums to suggest to each other and anybody that's watching or viewing. And it's just the idea of finding music that we genuinely like and think that other people will like as well. This album that I chose for tonight is an album I've been listening to since it came out. And it's one that I always want to tell people about. So I thought this was a great opportunity to do so. And I genuinely think both of you will enjoy or enjoyed this listen, which we'll get your thoughts and feedback here in just a second. For those who are not familiar, with these two, I put their information in the description below. Make sure you're following Noah. I put his YouTube channel there as well as his Instagram, and John Big Daddy's Instagram as well. You guys definitely should be following them, sub up to them if you're not already. I'm sure a lot of the familiar faces that watch this channel already know. But I guess just to kind of start this off, maybe keeping it just like high level, because we'll jump right into this. Before I give details on this album, I want to just get maybe your high level general opinion of what you thought when you heard this album. So Noah, I'll start it off with you.
Yeah, so I never listened to anything like this before. That's for sure. I don't think I ever would have discovered this without you.
Cool.
And you didn't say like what it was. The only idea that I had was when you posted it with that comic on your Instagram, and I think you had one of the songs linked to the post.
Yeah. And
I was definitely, my expectations were blown out of the water. Even I had no expectations, because I didn't know what it was. But it's really funny too, because when you posted that we're going live tonight, I think it was yesterday, you had said, "Oh, we're listening to this metal opera album." And it's so funny because I was trying to describe it to someone, and I was like, it's almost like it's metal opera. I don't know how else to describe it. And then you posted, I was like, I was right. Yeah,
that's amazing.
So yeah, I enjoyed it for sure.
Awesome. Glad to hear. John, what about you? What were your initial thoughts, and were you familiar with this album or band before?
I was not familiar with it, and I hated it. No. No, I'm joking. I've got some thoughts on it. Actually, I like. I have heard this style of music. I enjoyed this music, but as we get into it, I'll explain. There was something that I was struggling with, and I actually. Saturday when we drove up to Nashua, I listened to it a couple times with a friend of mine, and he used to own a recording studio, and he was able to explain to me what challenges I was dealing with it.
Ooh.
But I did enjoy it, and I actually listened to it, a lot of it live, and did not have the same experience that I did with listening to the album. So what he said made a lot of sense to me, but I enjoyed it. There are definitely certain songs on here that I will be listening to again.
Oh, great. That's the biggest takeaway from my side of things. Just hoping that you guys could potentially find something in there that that you'll be adding to your repeat list at some point. Yeah, and look for the viewers, these albums, the choices we're making are completely random based on what we're into or what we've discovered. And we've all, if you missed the first episode, you really should go back and check that out, because we kind of break down a little bit more of where all three of us stand with music as a whole. And I think the reason this works so well is because we're all very open-minded to whatever is thrown our way. And even if it ends up not being the thing for us, I feel like we all are pretty good at least finding the good in whatever we heard. And so that's what I appreciate with you guys. So yeah, for me, I've explained before, I definitely listen to a lot of metal, amongst other things. Again, very open to everything, but this is a different style of metal for sure. I think when we use the word metal, it's kind of like saying the word rock. Like, there's lots of different types of rock, there's lots of type of metal, there's lots of type of rap, so on and so forth. So I think people should definitely take that with a grain of salt when kind of throwing that word around, or just knowing that. Oh, and let me say a quick hello to the checks. I see Sheena hanging out. I just got to hang with her for a little
Hey, Sheena.
in Vegas. So good to see you, Sheena.
That's cool.
Yeah, good. Always good to stop by and see her if I get a chance. So this album, like I said, it came out in 2010. And here's the thing with this album in particular, anyone who does know this band or this album is probably questioning my choice as to why I gave this specific album to you two, because technically, I don't know if you know this is part of a trilogy. And not only is it part of a trilogy, but it is part 2 of a trilogy. So in many ways, after the fact, I started to think about it, and I love the first album before this is like probably my favorite album of theirs. I'm not sure why I didn't just go with that album. There's a couple songs on here that to me are so epic, and I just feel like anybody could just dig into, no matter what you listen to, even if you didn't listen to any sort of metal or rock, and that you would find some sort of enjoyment of it. So I think that was one thing that gravitated, me to just picking this album out of anything. So technically this is all based off of The Scarecrow, which came out in 2008, which is also when I first discovered the band Avantasia. So one thing I should also know, Avantasia is really one guy. That's why we call it an opera, because there's actually several hands involved, or several creators, I should say, involved, from a vocal perspective to guitar and drum and all the different instruments. He picks and borrows from all these different famous bands that we know, and throws them into play. So Tobias Sammet is the name of the guy who created Avantasia. He also is part of a band called Edguy, EDGUY, Edguy. And they're also like a power metal type of band. They have a little bit more humor to their stuff. Don't take them as serious, so it's a little bit more goofy. But when I heard about this other stuff, like, it just completely blew my mind. The storytelling, the details that he gives, the emotion that he creates, and then on top of that, just mixing the blends of the different stars that he has joining him. So and to name a few, like, I know, like, some ex Kiss guitar players are in there. The lead singer of Halloween is in there. Symphony X, Russell Allen, is in there. Jorn Land, he's from Master Plan. So these are just to name a few. Ripper Owens, if you guys know from Priest and Iced Earth, he was in that band as well.
Klaus
was from Scorpions. That was so definitely some big and random, you almost wouldn't expect it from this German fronted band. So that's where I kind of landed with this, and why I wanted to go into it. Like, I fell in love with Scarecrow, and that came out in 2008. So this comes out in 2010, and actually it actually came out. 2 albums came out on the same day. So this album that we're talking about tonight, the Wicked Symphony, came out in 2010, and on the same day, the other album came out, which is the Angel of Babylon. So this is technically part 3. For anybody who's interested, I highly recommend the Scarecrow. First and foremost, go back to that at some point. And again, if anything, I apologize, guys, because it really is probably the album we should have started with, in hindsight. But regardless, we're here now. So this is what we're talking about. But yeah, so the way they released these 2 other albums, and sure enough, we had this trilogy, and then they went on this big world tour, and it was this whole thing. I was very sad because I missed it. But yeah, so he's based out of Germany, and what was the other note I was going to say here? I think I covered the general gist of things. I saw in the chat. See my man Matt MONComics in the house saying, "What have I stumbled onto here, guys? I've only listened through the album once, but I love it. That's great. I'm glad that you took some time, Matt, to check it out." He goes, "My friend Justin from New Jersey, who likes to hang out in Vegas, turned me on to Avantasia." There you go.
Glad to have you here, Matt.
Yeah, Matt's another one. He's just like us, boys. Like he's open to all of it. He listens to all of it, and very knowledgeable about the music he picks too. So,
I haven't gotten to talk to him about music yet.
You definitely should.
Oh,
you definitely should.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's good.
So I think that's like the kind of the general. So the other thing too, it is a concept album. I wanted to note that this is, again, it's more about this character, the Scarecrow. I was trying to look up like the best way that kind of describes it, and I mean, there's a lot of different takes on it just based on lyrics, but it's essentially about this character who is convinced that he's mentally stable, that he is not mentally stable, and he gets offered 2 choices to either go with fame and glory and riches, or being a good person. And he ends up going with the fame, glory, and riches. And you get to see his journey as he goes through the choice he makes, and then how it winds up that he wants to be the other way around and would prefer to be the good person, but he's already trapped in this other lifestyle that he chose. And how he's got all these riches that mean nothing to him, and it's like a lonely life and all this other stuff. So it's really interesting. There's a lot of songs. You could break it down a million different ways to kind of hear lyrics. But that's another thing that kind of turned me on to it. And I use the word epic a lot, like in the title of this YouTube channel, because there are a lot of songs that are, 8 to 10 minutes long. This is definitely not like a breeze kind of album. You got to really sit and pay attention and listen to things and listen through it a few times, because it's almost more of like a soundtrack, a movie soundtrack, or the storytelling is way heavier than your typical, maybe, I don't know, pop radio jam or something like that. So you won't be finding any Avantasia on the radio in that regard.
Definitely.
But yeah. So I mean, that's, I guess, to frame it up. You guys want to kind of jump back in and share a little bit more now, I guess, on your thoughts, or we could go down certain avenues of certain songs, but whatever you want to carry on to. John, I'll pass it back to you. Where'd you want to go with this?
So I'm
curious what you had to say with your friend revealing everything to you.
I'll get to that in a bit, but when you say that it's kind of like a soundtrack. The very beginning of Wicked Symphony, that boom, 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 boom,
build up,
the build up. It reminded me of the Conan movie. I don't know if you've heard, or I don't know if you've seen Schwarzenegger in the Conan movie, but
I never watched it. No.
Oh man, if you watch that movie, you will hear some of this type of music.
Yeah.
And I was just like, and I picked up a few points through the video or through the album.
Yeah.
I probably listened to it maybe 20 times since we've talked. I did not do a deep dive into the lyrics. I just didn't really have the chance.
Yeah.
But like I said, I did watch some live videos of it because I appreciate the expansiveness and the orchestration and stuff like that. And we've talked a bit, when we get together, that I'm not a huge fan of some of the metal that is nowadays, that exists nowadays. I'm a Priest and Maiden kind of guy,
Yep.
But this put me in the mind. I mean, initially it put me in the mind of Dragon Force, which was probably the first band that I heard that played this type of music.
Yeah.
That's
fair. Yeah. Yeah, definitely like a power metal style,
right.
more newer, yeah, I could definitely
just high speed and I mean, very talented musicians and stuff. I can't take anything away from anybody. And the fact that you say it's one guy and then like a bunch of other musicians is making much more sense to me now.
Yeah. The style of each song is almost like a different song. I mean, it's like a different album.
That's one of the things that I noticed is but also I've never seen, the band there that I just got the wrong name stuck in my head, but the band that tours every Christmas that does
Yeah.
I
knew you're talking about. I just saw them like 2 years ago. Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Yeah,
So
they're very, very much build-ups and longer progressive
right
style. Yeah,
and I've never seen them live, but it kind of put me in the vein. I kind of felt like that vein. And then again, another friend. We were driving to Connecticut, so I played it for him, and he likes metal, and he's like, "It reminds me of Sabotage." And I'm like, okay, so I didn't know Sabotage either, but I guess Sabotage became Trans-Siberian Orchestra. So I was like, okay, now this is all starting to link together and make sense to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I listened to some Sabotage because he said, hey, this kind of may have led into this.
Yep.
And it makes sense. So,
and here, Celtic Wolf.
That's it. That's
is that your friend?
That's my friend. That's Bullet.
Nice. Well, yeah, he said I only got to listen to it once while driving, but yeah, Sabotage vibes from it. That's not a bad thing. I agree with John. That is also the Basil Palladorius. Oh, the Conan soundtrack. Yep. I'll have to listen to the soundtrack at least. Yeah, because that's interesting. I should see the movie actually, just because I know it's a classic.
Yeah, you should see the movie.
I need that's on my long list as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bullet's the guy that recommended. It said that it reminded him of Sabotage.
Sweet. Thanks for tuning in with us here. Yeah. No, very cool. And I mean, great descriptions, and that's something I should have noted too. Like Tobias Sammet, his vocals is something that is so impressive to me. How high he can hit and how strong they are, how he holds these notes. I mean, I know there's a lot of great, singers out there that can do similar, but like it definitely blows me away. And just to know that, the writing behind it too is all him in collaboration with, the guests that he brings on. It is cool. You do get a different style. Like I said, if you listen to the first album, the Scarecrow album, it's the first of the trilogy. They had 2 earlier albums like years prior, and then they like went away for a while, and then he brought it back and he came out with Scarecrow in 2008. So like that, when that came out, that was a whole new thing. He brought on a whole slew of, artists that a lot of people were familiar with. Not a lot of those artists are not on this, or it's a mix. It's like some of them are made it to this next album. Some of them didn't. Some newer people are on this one that weren't on the first one. And then even going into the trilogy, the third one, that also kind of shifts some things. I think they kept some of the core vocalists, but yeah, like that's, and I think it's like a power metal description as kind of how I would put it, generally speaking, if you had to kind of categorize it, or in this case, a symphonic, orchestrated, power metal type style.
Watching them live, one of the things that I would be interested in is to know which vocalist he was.
Oh yeah.
It's like, because there are several vocalists on most of these albums.
And here, I mean, just to show you guys a general picture, that's I mean, not that it's a great picture, but this is what he looks like. Yeah.
So yeah, when I was watching him live, now I've got to go back and watch now, because they have a vocalist come out, and then like they're playing Wicked Symphony, and the smoke comes up, and the females vocalists rise out of the floor, the stage, and it's a big stage show, which I enjoy.
Yeah.
But and then a little bit later, another vocalist comes out, and it's like, okay, like which one is the main guy, is kind of, or is he for all I know, he could be the guitar player, because,
Right. Well, and that's the thing. I think at the end of the day, there is no main guy in the case of, like, they dedicated certain songs to just certain vocalists. I think even in this album, there were certain, and the next album, there were times where I guess there were certain people that helped write certain things, but then they didn't want to sing it like on the actual recording of the album. So he did it for various reasons, or vice versa, where he like really he strongly felt like the person who helped write it should be the lead singer on the actual album for it. This girl Cloudy, I'm not sure where else she's from, but she's in the third album. But he shares a story about that in an interview that I heard a while back, and he basically said, he's like, you got to sing it, like this is your song, you wrote it. They had other female vocalists, but he's like, this is yours, like you got to do it. So he had her do that. But yeah, they're in this case that first song, Wicked Symphony. I heard it described as like almost like these two lead singers almost like battling vocal wise, because they are going back and forth and showing off, the
range
they have. Yeah. While also telling this story, as I said before, the two sides that are offered to the Scarecrow kind of thing. So, anyways, yeah, it's a really cool concept. Noah, what about you? What were your thoughts? Getting a little deeper here on this.
Yeah. So going off of things that you guys have already said, like the opening of the Wicked Symphony, talking about how it almost sounds like a movie soundtrack, or I almost thought like a musical. Like it, as soon as you turn it on, it almost like brought me in, like I was like entering a movie or entering into like the beginning of like a musical, and I'm sitting and watching. Which I just thought it was such an interesting concept, because I've never heard an album like this before, so I really enjoyed the difference in that compared to everything else I listened to.
Right.
Like I feel like the only things that was missing is like in a musical they have like the little bit of dialogue in between each song, because I was trying to. So I was reading the lyrics as I was listening to it a few times, and I was trying to pick. I'm like, there has to be something behind like what this is.
Right.
And now that you said that there was a part 2 to a trilogy, I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm not crazy. Like I definitely might be missing something. Because I was trying to figure out like, what is this about? Like I feel like it's about something, and I couldn't quite like link the songs to each other, like trying to find that story.
Yeah.
So was it he made that decision in the first album, and then the second one was with the fame and everything, and then
it's more of him living it out now at this point and deciding. Gotcha. So like where was I had pulled up a note about. He said Wicked Symphony seems to follow that. He goes, the songs are much more interpretation, though most of them seem to be thoughts and experiences of the Scarecrow after fulfilling his ambitions. Runaway Train, for example, hints heavily at drug use, and State of Matter seems to be more about how he has these pointless riches in the grand scheme of things.
It's funny that falls after Blizzard on a Broken Mirror.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So now that you say that, and I'm like, okay, now I can like think back to the songs and kind of think about how that makes sense. So that's really cool. And what was the other thing I was going to get at? Oh God, I forgot. That was definitely one of the main points that I wanted to get into. I just thought that was really cool concept that they had in there.
Nice.
I forget what the other thing I was going to say. I'll probably remember it in a minute here, but
that's all right. Well, if you want to get into a little bit down the road of certain songs that stood out to you, Noah, was there certain songs that you had noted to yourself, or things that you think you'll go back to?
Yeah. So at the first few listen throughs, I really only thought this as like a collective album. Like you're going to put this on and listen to it from beginning to end. I had a hard time in the beginning, like thinking about what playlist would I put this one specific song in, or like
totally understandable.
But as I got upcoming towards this live stream, I was like, okay, there's a few songs I can probably pull out of here, like add it to my favorites playlist. And but I will say though that like nitpicking a little bit was, I would say like the last 3 to 4 songs it kind of dropped off for me. Okay. I think every time I was listening to it, I would get towards like those last few songs, and I'm just like, all right, I'm ready to get back to the beginning again. Like I'm ready to restart, because I do really like the beginning of it a lot. And there's a lot of it that I enjoy. But yeah. Oh, the other thing I was gonna say was how, going off of that idea of it being like a soundtrack or like a musical, let's say, I felt like, and it also makes sense, like pulling in different artists too, that it almost felt like different songs were like villain songs, or like some were like, like if like thinking about a musical, like how a villain would always get his song.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Right. Exactly. That's kind of what I was, but that was also me trying to piece together what it was about. So yeah, no, I kind of enjoyed how a lot of the different songs felt different from each other too. Like it was almost like, again, like I was watching like a musical or something, or like an opera.
Yep.
Hence it
Very
being
cool.
a metal opera.
Yeah, better opera.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Yeah, no, but yeah, the last like 3 songs, I would say I was kind of like, all right, like I feel like if it was just like a tad bit shorter, it would have been just like a little bit better. But
yeah, they're definitely long songs for sure. You gotta.
Yeah, and I'm not a stranger to long songs, but I wouldn't say it felt like the same towards the end. I don't know. It was just kind of like it was losing me towards the end, and I didn't really get out of that stink the more I listened to it.
Was there a specific song that was like your favorite, or was there anything that stood out as just like one that you felt you were going back to?
I want to say, what's the song name? Hold on, I have it open right now. Dying for an Angel was, I think, up there for sure. I really enjoyed that song.
Yeah.
And honestly, just the beginning, the Wicked Symphony, like like I was saying before, like you're entering that like movie kind of feeling. Like it felt cool, like the ramp up and everything, and then you get into it, and then you keep going down the album. I enjoyed that intro a lot too.
Awesome. What about you, John? Anything specific that stood out to you?
Okay, so it's funny that
okay, here we go.
No, it's funny that Noah said basically the same thing that I was thinking. And that was my frustration, is that when you get into the last, I want to say 4 to 5 songs after Runaway Train, okay? Yep. Like Black Wings and States of Matter, when I wrote notes down, Black Wings and States of Matter gave me a very Rammstein kind of drive. Now they're a German band, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
So I was picking up I'm like, this is like a Rammstein feel. There's some of that there. But when I talked to my friend Dave, I'm like, I'm struggling because I'm enjoying the music, but the reality of it is I feel fatigued. Like there's so much happening. You've got all these notes and you've got all this, and the I think with the exception, I think, Noah and I both agree, Dying for an Angel is a song that we both I really liked. That was the one I liked. That's the first one he mentioned.
Yeah.
But it's got a hook, where some of the other songs didn't have a hook.
Right.
So I was trying to understand, like, why am I feeling this way? And my friend Dave, he says, because the music is under compression. He goes, what they do is they set an upper level and a lower level, and they basically record everything at that level. And where old albums, you would have these highs and lows. And he goes, what happens is when you're listening to it, it's actually tiring because everything is at that same level.
Yep.
And an hour-long album at that level was tiring.
It fatigues your ears. It actually, which a lot of music in general is like that now because it's mastering the album is compressing. There's really 3 levels of it that they're compressing the highs, the lows, and the mids, and you're getting everything evened out. So yeah, I think of like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Like you can hear the subtleness of guitar picking versus the things they wanted you to hear, whereas this is all very crunched up and given to you. That's the music industry at this point. There's a lot that's like that now, and that's what some people complain about, or they like these bands that are not recorded at these fancy places because they have more freedom to let some of these ranges go. But yeah, no, that's definitely understandable for sure.
So it helped me understand because like I did not find any of the music like if I were to say pick up and start with say song number 7, I would really, I'm sure I would enjoy it, but it was just the act of listening to the whole album. By that point, I was starting to get I'm like, I don't understand it. Like, it's just at that point, I'm just getting tired of it, and it made a lot of sense. So, yeah,
I like the word fatigue that you use. Yeah, that's like definitely a good word to use for like the last few songs.
Yep.
Or like definitely after Runaway Train, I 100% like the first few songs after Runaway Train, I was like, all right, but it was definitely like a slow decline. And then I'm getting to the end. I'm like, all right, I'm ready to restart. Honestly, I never really listened to this album like multiple times in a row. Maybe I did twice or 3 times in like one sitting. But after that, I was like, all right, I'm gonna switch to something else. I'm gonna listen to it again, like tomorrow or something.
You got to change.
Usually, usually like the next day, like I'll get a different take or like a different, fresh ears, basically.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not just this band. I don't own them now. I had a bunch of CDs, but I had Dragon Force.
Yeah.
And it would be the same thing. And again, it's that high speed, and it's under compression, and everything's at that same level. And it's kind of like, whoa, Yep. I never understood it until he explained it to me.
Yep.
But overall, I mean, I like the music, and by watching it live on YouTube, it's not under that compression because that's really happening in the studio.
Right. Oh yeah.
And therefore I got a much better experience of it live.
It's a good point.
Yeah, when you mentioned that you watched it live, I'm like, that would be interesting. Like, I kind of wish that I had the idea to look that up and watch it live, because I feel like you said, it would be like a whole different experience.
Yep.
And I think that might explain part of the issues that I have with some of the, newer metal bands, that I always say I really enjoy them live, but I don't enjoy listening to them so much. I'm getting a better understanding of why. Right. And Justin, you were looking at recording, and you were looking at heading in that direction in school. So you understand it.
Yeah.
And so it was eye-opening to me.
That was actually a complaint that I know even just from fellow students would kind of question or raise the hand of like, why do we do it this way? And that's because at the end of the day, everything narrows back down to radio, and everything narrows back down to, streaming services and everything else now, where you have to, for it to be the way they want it to be heard, they have to master it a certain way. And like, there's so many other aspects to it that go into it. And so much of it is digital nowadays too, is probably the other part of it.
Yep.
Even the tools that are being used to record, it's just a different world. Now, granted, this is 2010, which is still a long time ago compared to where we're at right now. But yeah, like the music's definitely changed. And again, it's not everybody, and it's not all recordings per se, but I know a lot of, I know it's a very popular thing, and obviously mastering. I mean, look, you'll even have the albums that we know and love from like the Beatles and all these famous bands who re-release their albums and they're remastered. And guess what?
I hate that. I hate that. Give me the original version, please.
Yeah. I mean, they think it's like better, and in the sense they're defining better as the way it can fit in all these different avenues like Spotify and all the streaming services and so on and so forth. So and also CDs, like that was a different thing, and vinyl is so different compared to CDs. Like if anyone ever really takes the time to listen, especially the older vinyl before it became a mainstream thing, having that warm crackling sound you can't get that with a CD, or you can't get that in digital form. So it's really technically they say digital is like the most crunched up version of whatever it is that you're listening to, because of how processed it is before it gets to that level. So for true like connoisseur music lovers that really want to hear the originals, they say go to vinyl. Like that's the warm, it doesn't have that choppy digital aspect to it. Again, we're getting really like detailed here, but yeah, that is a thing. That's totally a thing.
Oh, that's so interesting. And now that we're describing it as like condensing it and crunching it up and putting it out there, and looking back at the album, I was like, yeah, it's like it does feel like almost in your face, you know what I mean? And it's like, but I do also am one of those people that enjoy hearing all the different instruments. I do also enjoy like, listening to an album for like the 50th time, and I'm like, oh, I never heard this one little bit that was kind of in the background before, for the artists who don't do that for everything. But yeah, no, like it all makes sense. And then this is all very interesting to me as well. Even looking back and thinking about this and talking about vinyl and all that and how it all works. It's very interesting.
For sure. So you guys had mentioned Dying for an Angel certainly is, and I would say if there was ever a hit to come from the album, it would be that song. And John, to your point, yes, it's one of the few that have more of a hook, more of a catchier chorus, that repeats and is a bit more condensed in that, it's verse, chorus, whereas most of the rest of the album is not as traditional as that.
Right.
But so with that said, one of my favorite songs, and you guys both have mentioned it several times, just in explaining things, probably my favorite song off this whole album is Runaway Train. So
that's up there for me too.
Yeah.
So like that was I think I jumped to that song when I first wanted to get Lady No Good into it, like to just say, hey, check this out. We were on a long drive back probably from a casino or something, and we just put that on, and she's very open to a lot of different things too, and she was like hooked. Like, to me, Runaway Train is one of the most beautiful songs I feel like I've ever heard. It's so, and this is where the epic comes from because of how it starts, and it's almost a ballad in the beginning, but it builds up to be so much more than that. And there's just so much, like, there's like this piano breakdown that happens towards the middle that I love when they come in with that. All the other instruments drop except for the piano, and I think bass in the background a little bit before it builds back up again. And like, I don't know. When I throw the word epic around, I just think of that song. And again, it's 8 minutes and 42 seconds for anybody who's never heard it before. Take that time, 8 minutes and 42 seconds, and listen to this song, Runaway Train. If there's a song to go back to ever for myself, that's one that I lean on. Although I agree, Noah, with what you were saying. Like, yeah, generally speaking, this album and any Avantasia album, you typically would probably listen to it from start to finish just because of that's the way it was written. And it's not really one to throw in a mix bag of songs or whatever, but yeah, so Runaway Train. So I was curious if any of you guys would bring it up as a song you enjoyed or maybe didn't enjoy, but you both mentioned it as you were kind of explaining where after things went a way that fatigued you a little more. But I'm glad that song was not one of them.
Yeah. It was definitely after that song.
Yeah. You both were very specific. You're like, after Runaway Train, and I kind of went like that. I'm like, okay, at least it wasn't.
Yeah, we're saving that one.
Yeah.
So my friend Celtic Wolf there, his name's Bob. We call him Bullet. We were listening to this album on the way, and he's a metal guy, and we're listening to it on the way to Connecticut. And he pointed out something to me that I cannot unhear now. And I hear it on Blizzard on a Broken Mirror first, which, by the way, has a pretty cool piano in it that reminds me of the Halloween theme.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. But one of the vocalists on there sounds like John Bon Jovi. And when you listen to it, once he said that, I can't unhear it.
Right.
He really does sound like John Bon Jovi.
Interesting.
So I'm
scared now.
So
I like I like Bon Jovi.
I do too, but
but it's like when he said that, I was like, because I told him, I said, just listen to this, and I said, tell me who like you might hear.
Yeah.
And when we talked about Ripper Owens, we're familiar with him. And then Klaus Meine is I've met Klaus in an airport one time.
Oh, cool.
He's his voice is distinct. You cannot miss Klaus Meine.
Yeah.
But then when he said John Bon Jovi, I'm like, damn, dude, no.
Yeah, so it's funny you bring that up because when I was first getting into this album, I remember one of my friends who was very much like anti this music and like would kind of like bust my chops about like, and he would actually say, you listen to that John Bon Jovi track again? And I'm like, it's not John Bon Jovi. Like I kept yelling at him, but you're not alone. Like it's definitely could be compared. And I do think. I actually think it's Tobias that is singing that song. I know Andre Matos is also a vocalist on there, and I'm not as familiar with his stuff. I'd actually have to go back and listen. He's part of a few bands I'm not as familiar with. Viper, Shaman, and
Viper, okay.
Symphonia with an S, Symphonia, or Symfonia, and Angra. So not familiar with some of those. He actually had passed away in 2019, it looks like. So he's only 47, but he was the other vocalist on there. So I'm not sure of the two that you were hearing, or if they jump back in. I'd have to go back and kind of listen to it. But obviously Tobias shows up a lot more throughout the album, whereas I think he's only in like two albums or something. But yeah, I don't think you're wrong. That's for sure.
That's why I like the live stuff, is you can kind of see, hey, okay, this guy, that guy,
Yep.
So
that makes sense. Yeah. That's why I was saying, like, listening or watching it live too. I'm sure it's completely different.
Oh yeah. Your buddy Bullet said, interesting to hear about the compression issue. Sounds like bad mixing a la Metallica's and Justice for All, where Lars demanded his drums be sound, so they lost the low end of bass. Yeah, not surprised there for Lars.
Lars. We can all laugh at Lars.
Demanding everything. But cool. Yeah. Like I said, I was curious if you guys enjoyed, particularly that song.
For sure.
Some of the others,
yeah. It's funny is, I know we were talking about how this album came out in 2010, and I think I had to look back. Like, I think the first time I listened to it, I was like, wait, when did this come out? It totally gave me like 80s, kind of vibes a little bit.
Yeah.
Like the first few times I was listening to it, I was like, oh, okay, this came out in 2010. Interesting. Like, that was just a quick point. I thought
it was 8.
Yeah.
I was. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, this style of music, it's still very much a thing, but I think it has that look or that view of being from the 80s, that 80s style, especially with the high-pitched, vocals. You think of like Iron Maiden and things like that.
Yeah.
That might have been what it was, yeah.
But there's a lot of styles of music now that are very much still going, that are like this.
Absolutely.
But
you were saying operatic, but I was thinking symphonic.
Oh yeah, so probably. I kind of throw those words together a lot of times. A lot of times they do go, but you're right. Probably not as much operatic. The high pitch. I think of like, what's her name, Tarja from Nightwish. If you guys ever
Nightwish, yeah.
So she had an opera. Well, she's not with the band anymore, but that vocalist had operatic vocals, very much, high pitched. But yeah, symphonic for sure, because it's fast paced. It's
I mean, there's just this. There's definitely. Now I'm trying to think.
Like
I don't think
orchestral music, the orchestral like instruments.
It's very orchestral.
Yeah, it's not your typical like just guitar and drums and bass.
Yeah,
it's so much more to that.
It's very grand in a lot of the songs, and
yeah,
that's what gave me like those opera vibes.
Yeah, all the different types of strings that are mixed in, and granted, some of that's probably keyboards, but still, like, I mean, I think when they went on tour, or one of the tours, I think they had an actual orchestra with them. That's like for certain instruments, anyways. And I know that's a popular thing for some bands to do if it makes sense for their music.
Yeah, I mean, I think my introduction to this type of music, and I find it fascinating, was Apocalyptica.
Oh, love Apocalyptica, yeah.
Okay, Metallica played on a cello. It's like
they made it metal.
It's like I love that stuff. So I just thought this is the coolest thing ever. Somebody decided to play metal and acknowledge, because I mean, metal fans are typically kind of looked down upon in the music industry as kind of low rent, and it's like, man, you listen to the lyrics. That's one of the things that Bullet and I both enjoy, is listening to reactors and kind of going, oh man, there's a lot more here going on. It's like you listen to Iron Maiden, it's not all about going out and just catching some girl. It's they're crazy. Some of the songs are really deep.
Yep.
And this was the same way. It's not just that, hey, let's just, the very light sex, whatever.
Right. Very cool. I was going to ask if would you guys either go back to Scarecrow or forward to Angel of Babylon? My one thing with Scarecrow that I do recommend you guys give a shot to, maybe not the whole album, but a handful of songs at least, is because a lot more of those songs, now that more I think about it, are a bit more shaped towards like the radio friendly, catchy hooks and what's the word I'm thinking of? Just kind of that layout of style. It's not as much. I would say, if anything, some of the symphonicness is not in that first album. It's a little bit more rock.
I think definitely now that you've said that it's a trilogy,
yeah,
it's going to make a little more sense to Noah's point. So now it's going to be like, okay, let me go back. Now, understanding the compression and understanding why I felt, and actually, it's funny because I'm thinking about what album to play next.
Yeah.
And Noah played, Wild Cherry. That was like a 30-minute album.
Right.
When I was growing up, a 30-minute album was pretty standard. So this was almost, this was 55 minutes. So I wasn't sure if it was just the fact that it was 55 minutes or, I was just like,
that's fair. It's a long,
what is it,
Yeah.
And I mean, so yeah, now I want to listen to it all. I might listen to it in pieces, kind of like what Noah said, listen to it, 30 minutes, kind of, and break it up a little bit, because I found myself the same way. It's like I'd listen to it once and I'd be like, all right, I got to listen to something else, give myself a break. And then I'd go back to it.
Yeah.
And I listen, and I kept, and it wasn't because I didn't like it. It was just that I couldn't understand why.
Yeah.
So it was literally last Saturday that, Dave was able to explain to me the compression thing and say, here's why,
It's interesting. And you guys are not alone. I was trying to look up like some other reviews and stuff, and there were definitely some mixed reviews in this, specifically to this album. And I do remember some people kind of saying the later songs, like whatever 6 through 8 or whatever track numbers.
You got Crestfallen, Forever's a Long Time, Black Wings, like Black Wings and Status of Matter, which were the two songs that reminded me of, like, there's definitely some chord progressions in there that remind me of Rammstein.
Yeah. Yep.
So, I mean, like those two songs, I'm pretty sure that I could listen to individually.
Sure.
And then The Edge is the song with Bruce Kulick on it, from Kiss, and I could hear Kiss, I could hear his influence on the song.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think he definitely had help.
So it was like, I think it was just that I was getting tired.
Yeah.
So I think what I need to do is really listen to those last 6 songs first.
So I would say definitely do that. Give that a shot. As for anything that you do. Take a minute and just jump into the back end of it. I definitely find myself, for any style of music, if I get hooked on some of these first songs that come out or whatever, then typically, I mean, they always say like track 2 is supposed to be quote unquote the hit of whatever album comes out, but like a lot of times people fall into this, let me just start from the beginning. But like, then you just don't, if you think about the number of times you hear an album, the back end is probably, the count is probably, it's just lower. It's just, naturally lower. So not a bad idea to do that. And that's what I do now. I mean, I'll start with Last Train or Runaway Train, just because I love that song. But I'll go into a lot of that stuff until I get so familiar with the back end. So I think that's worth it.
It is kind of funny too, because in the old in the old days of albums, I know Noah plays vinyl, but it's like, you would play the first side, and then like, would you play the second?
Right.
Sometimes I watch 2112. You play the first side. You don't really play the second side that much.
Right.
Oh, I was just thinking about that though. Like, think of it in a vinyl sense of like, listening to the back half, and it's like, maybe, if you're thinking of it in vinyl, playing that first half of the vinyl, okay, let it go off and maybe not flip to the other side for like a few minutes, and then okay, now let's go to the other side.
So this has 2 vinyls.
Okay.
The 2 vinyl set.
LP, all right.
So just the one side of vinyl 1 is just Wicked Symphony and Wastelands, for a total of 13, almost 14 minutes, just those first 2 tracks. And then on the other side, they have Scales of Justice, Dying for an Angel, Blizzard on a Broken Mirror. So those 3 are combined on the second side of vinyl 1. Then the second vinyl starts Runaway Train, goes
I was
into
going to say Runaway Train feels like
Crestfallen.
the beginning of
Yeah, it kind of starts that
side.
next
Yes.
story. So it's that Crestfallen and Forever's a Long Time, and then the back of that is Black Wings, State of Matter, and The Edge. So,
Gotcha.
but that's a great point. I mean, yeah, John, like what you're saying about, I could definitely see fans just like, oh, I got to hear that song again, got to hear that song, and then you're like, you want to hear the back end? Like, no, start it over from the beginning. Like, you know, like it's just easy, and it's just like you already know what you love. Like, why even?
Well,
you know,
on the old players, you could literally just let it keep repeating.
oh, right.
You could set it up, and then we just repeat that first side.
Yeah,
It's like, I don't want to get up off my ass. Let's,
let it go. Just let it go. That's funny.
Yep.
No.
Oh boy, that's really funny.
I do hope that you guys take some time on your own to go back to Scarecrow, because I would love to hear your thoughts on that at some point.
Yeah, I definitely would be interesting to listening to the entire trilogy now that I know it's a trilogy.
Yeah.
I definitely would be interested in listening to Scarecrow, and then I probably would listen to this after and then listen to the third one.
Yeah.
But again,
Scarecrow has Alice Cooper. That was the other thing I was going to mention. In that one, and he's got a really cool like Alice Cooper vibe type of song in there too. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like I said in the beginning, like this is definitely not something I would have picked up on my own.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've never heard of them at all. So
yeah,
this was definitely out of left field, and I'm glad that I listened to it. It is something that, you know, I saved into my playlist on Spotify. So it's like it'll pop up, you know, and I can definitely see songs, you know, Wicked Symphony, like I said, that opening, which reminds me so much of Basil Balladorus.
Yeah.
That was cool. That was just really cool.
Yeah, I love it.
When that started, I'm like, yeah, this is cool.
Here we go.
Yep.
I love it.
Yep. Like I said, it's just like you're sitting in the theater and the curtains open and, you know, everything starts. Yeah, that's always the vibe I get. Yeah.
Love it.
Have you seen Conan, Noah?
No, I haven't. I was saying
that's your challenge for the next show. You guys both have to watch Conan.
Done. Consider it done. There's no reason I never did. I'm certainly always open to it. I just never got around to it. And
don't watch The Destroyer. Just watch the first one and be done.
Noted. Well, awesome. I guess any other final words just on this album or any aspects of it, or is there anything I feel like I forgot to mention about it? I was trying to go through any other notes of
No, I think you covered the things. What I was going to ask you about is where they were from.
Okay.
Because I definitely got the feeling like, you know, when you've got this type of music, I definitely feel a European.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that they're German, that makes a lot of sense. And it also makes sense that they've got that Rammstein kind of sound at some point, and they've got, or that influence, and then they've also got, you know, Klaus Meine singing for them.
Yeah, such a mix. That was the other thing too, was they what was I going to say about that? Oh, the fact that there are so many artists involved with these albums, they rarely tour, which is why I was so sad that I didn't get to see them during their 2011 or 2010, technically, I guess, world tour, because I knew like they don't come around often. And he says this in an interview. He's like, someone asked, like, you know, are you going back on tour anytime soon? And he says, he's like, no, because it's just so hard to coordinate with that many people. Like, schedules are just insane, because think about all the different, I mean, again, I guess you could have some people fill in for other songs that didn't sing that song on the album, but artists don't like to do that. They want the original singer to be the voice of that particular thing. So when they did put this world tour together, I think it was called like world tour in 20 days or something like that. Like the you know, they basically crammed this together in like a month span or something like that to allow, you know, so it was just enough time for everybody to be like, okay, I can show up for this, I can show up for that. I think there were some artists that only did the Europe tours, and then when they went to America, they just didn't come to that or whatever. So I don't know if they didn't play those parts, or I don't know what they did for that, or maybe Tobias just sang them. But man, like, if they ever come around again, like believe me, I'm going to go out of my way to make sure.
Go check out the YouTube stuff.
Yeah, I was watching a little bit.
Yeah.
Some of the quality I found was rough, but yeah, generally speaking, it is.
I think if you find a professional, not the people holding phones, but
no, but then right,
yeah.
Well, there's a DVD out. There was a DVD. They made a DVD of that tour. I think they captured like 5 different arenas altogether, and they got meshed it to one. So yeah, that is probably top notch quality.
And I did find that because of the fact that it's live, you don't get that compression.
Right.
I didn't have as much of a challenge with it.
Yeah. To clarify, I will say the live soundtracks, they do compress those too. If you listen to any live album from literally anyone that's ever done one, if it's a professionally done like recording, they will get compressed. I mean, there is a live. They're doing the same thing in the studio. They're taking and bringing it down. Yeah.
No,
again, that's to
that makes
fit.
sense.
Yeah, it's to fit these. These.
And maybe it's just the fact that I'm watching it visually.
Maybe, yeah.
It's not as much focus on the sound.
Yeah. A bit more raw, regardless. Yeah.
For sure. Do we want to give this a number rating?
Ooh, yeah, good call. I kind of forget. Oh yeah, the system we did was just like 1 out of 10, no comic, just 1 out of 10.
No half points, no quarters.
Yeah, no half points. Yeah. And a little reasoning. So which one of you gentlemen want to go first?
Well, I was going to say a 7.5, but because we can't do that, I think I'm going to roll it back to the 7. But I really enjoyed this album. I thought it was good. Like I said, for me to listen to it, I'm sure I listened to it 20 times since we talked.
That's great.
And trying to get a good feel for what it was. I did not really, and I mean, I'm not the type that sits there and reads lyrics like I used to when I was a kid, with the headphones on and reading the lyrics. I did not dig into the lyrics. Now that I know it's a trilogy, I might dig into that a little bit more.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, do it up.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Great pick. Noah, what about you?
For me, I'm rolling in between a 5 or a 6, honestly.
Okay.
And only because I'm trying to take there was a lot of songs, and the whole beginning half of the album I really enjoyed. I think just in the fact of we were talking about the fatigue towards the end and kind of with the compression, and how it gave us that fatigue towards the end, as well as this being like a sit down and listen to the album thing. It's like I like albums where I can pick and choose songs out of it and I can hear it, I can put them in different albums and things like that. There's not much versatility, I feel like, with this album. Yeah. It's
almost like one long story.
Yeah, it's by itself,
They're going to pick a chapter out.
Yes.
Right, exactly. And yeah, like I was saying before, I would have never found this on my own. I'm glad I did because I did enjoy it. Yeah. But I don't know if it's something I'll go back to often.
That's fair.
I will go back to it in order to listen to the trilogy now that I know that, because I am interested into listening to the entire thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for that reason, it's not a high score for me.
That's fair.
But I enjoyed it. So a 6, I'll give it because I did enjoy it.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, and I'm curious too. As you guys go back, and you listen to Scarecrow, if that will influence anything grade wise to this album after the fact, or maybe even just as you grow with this album. I do believe we grow with albums, we grow with music, and obviously what we think today is certainly something possible to adjust, tomorrow. So as you have more time with it, but yeah, great. I'm glad that you both took the time to listen to it and really listen to it. This easily could have been just something you went through 1 or 2 times and just try to roll with it, which I also would have respected. Just something like this, I do feel a listener needs to give it as a fair go around, at least a solid 3 or 4 times around. So for you guys to listen to it as often as you both did, that's amazing. So I appreciate you guys.
What's your rating?
To do it. So I was like, I don't want to be too
this could be a 10
bias over here,
Yeah. So No, I think and I'm trying to like also put it in perspective of just other albums as a whole. And so with that being said, and look, there's some songs I absolutely love. I agree. There's some songs I kind of skip through. I'm okay with kind of skipping through or not listening to as often as some of the other songs. I'm still going to go up there and reach for about an 8. You know, I'm toying between an 8.
So we're averaging a 7 right now.
So yeah, which is
Is that
I think
what
that's
we did last
solid.
time too?
Yeah,
I think so.
Last time as well.
Yes, yeah, you're right. I think you're right.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm going to go with an 8. And again, I'm so Tobias Sammet to me is just one of my favorite music creators. I think he's got such talent that no matter what era he came out of, he was going to stand out. Very much like a Bach or Beethoven type of style or talent. I think he's just so good. And I'm very curious and excited to hear your guys' thoughts one day whenever you guys get around to some of his other work. I would even throw in
this week, and I'm going to be listening to all 3 of them. I'm sure.
Great.
I have a feeling that I'm going to be listening to all 3 of them now. That
amazing.
It actually makes a lot more sense to me now.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. And yeah, if anything, like I said, I apologize for anybody who this definitely threw off because like later I'm like I should have just went with Scarecrow. I really should have just went with Scarecrow. But it is different. There are definitely differences, and maybe that's for the better, maybe it's for the worse, depending what you're into or not into. And I think if you weren't digging this as much, then you might dig Scarecrow a little more. To me, it's a little bit more. Tightly wrapped as far as individual songs and choruses and everything else goes, while also hitting, some of the epic, I mean, it's certainly epic, but like some of those symphonic vibes at the same time to certain levels. And then this being the next level. So I do think Angel of Babylon, you get a lot more similarities to Wicked Symphony. There are definitely some really just over the top songs that I hope you guys enjoy if you do get to that part. And there are some like humor songs too that they throw in there. And I think that's part of his Ed Guy stuff. I might randomly send you guys like a YouTube video of like an Ed Guy song or something, just so you hear, kind of get the idea of where he comes from with that. Cause there's a little humor to certain aspects of it, but it also still sounds like Wicked Symphony to some degree.
Nice.
But anyways, yeah. So would love to hear your thoughts. For those tuning in, we had 4 people hanging most of the time. So appreciate everybody who chimed in the chat. If you're watching the replay, please leave a comment in the comment section below. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know your grade. If you're in the chat right now, drop it in the chat. What would you have graded this album for yourself? And no wrong answers. If you loved it, you loved it. If you didn't, you didn't.
Justin, I do have the question real quick.
Yeah.
I know last week you're saying, or the last time we talked, was you were in between 2 albums. Were you in between Scarecrow and A Wicked Symphony?
No.
Or was it completely different? Okay.
Completely
I was
different.
interested in that.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. Yeah.
It was another metal band, but in a little bit of a different direction, which I'll save, we'll probably get around to that on one of my next picks.
It's funny that you're saying this because because as I'm thinking about the album, I've written down at least 15 albums that I'm kind of like, hey, can I, you guys know that I've been sending you texts saying, hey, have you guys heard this? Have you heard this? Have you heard this?
Mm-hmm.
I know, I'm interested in what you pick.
And, one of the things that I think about, and now that you're talking about Scarecrow and this album and such, and I think about albums that, the first album and second album are 2 albums that to me go together. Like you cannot you almost can't think of them as 2 different albums. They're their release dates might be really close together. A lot of times in the 70s and that bands were putting out albums every 6 months,
Right.
And it's like, I almost think of them as the same album.
Yeah.
So it's funny.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I am very interested to listening to all 3 of these. And then, like you're saying before, my grade might change for this middle one once I listen to all 3. So, yeah.
For sure. And hey, like you guys said, give the back half a shot, like take a moment, just jump to
do that too. Yeah.
For sure. Just what's it called? gosh, I keep forgetting the name of it. Like Blackwing or
Yeah.
Crestfallen, or
Crestfallen, yeah.
States of Matter is another top song for me personally.
Yeah, States of Matter.
There's really catchy.
Yeah, I gotta listen to that whole back half again for sure. Yeah. And especially maybe start with that at first.
Yeah.
Before we close off, I have a request. I picked up some vinyl recently, and this is like I feel like this is the best place to share it.
Oh my god, dude! Yes, please. Dude.
Yeah. I only got two. Two to show off. But I figured this would be a cool spot to share. So
absolutely,
I like that guy.
Yeah, I like that guy.
So I went to, and it's funny because I actually have more vinyl shops near me than I do comic stores. So that's interesting. First off, so I picked these up. Yeah, I know, right? Well, I'm jealous of all the comic shops everyone else has near me.
Fair.
I think I did this last Sunday or the Sunday before. So this was one of them. I picked up an evening with Silk Sonic. Yeah, nice. With Silk Sonic. Bruno Mars and Anderson. I don't know if either of you guys have listened to this, but
I've not. But I like Bruno Mars.
Yeah.
Oh,
I like him a lot. I'm not from. I've heard of Anderson .Paak. I've not heard him.
Yeah, he is well on his own. His albums are amazing. So I picked this up. I wanted a modern vinyl as well as an older one, and I happened to find this. And it's funny because now that I'm thinking about it, we talked about CCR last time we met up, and I have an original pressing of Willie and the Poor Boys.
Willie and the Poor Boys.
Yep. Yeah, I found that, and it was interesting that this being an original pressing from, what is it, 69?
69.
Yep, that this was like half the price compared to Silk Sonic.
I was gonna say, was that Silk Sonic a full price, like a new album price? I know they're up
$30 for that, and I found the CCR album for 18.
Yeah.
Well, the thing I find with the new albums is they're going with the much higher grade, thicker vinyl.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I had to do research on this because I was so intrigued. I'm like, why is this, like, in comic wise, all the older stuff is like more expensive because it's a lot older and they don't print it anymore, all this stuff. And I did the deep dive. I was like, well, if you really think about it, it's almost like comics in the 90s. Like there was a lot more pressing plants back in the day. They made so many more vinyl than they do now because it was like kind of the main way people listen, and then radio and things like that.
They changed the paper, like all that.
Right, exactly. And then vinyl, you get better material, better quality, but like less pressing plants, so that's why it's maybe a little bit more expensive now. Yeah. And they don't make as many, so and I was reading it too, like a lot of older collectors, they're selling their collection, so some albums are just flooding into the market. Like I kind of I'm comparing it to like comics in the 90s because there's just like a mass amount of them. So I thought that was interesting to me because in my head I would think original pressings of like really good albums or like classic albums would be more expensive, but it's not. It's interesting.
Well, one of the things that struck me is when Justin held up that Avantasia album, that it was a 15-minute side.
Yeah.
It makes me think that it's a heavier gram album, which makes me think that they're going deeper with the groove. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And that's probably why, because if you pick up a new album and an old album, there's a weight difference.
Yeah.
100%.
And usually it'll say on the front, 40-gram vinyl or whatever. So, I think that you're going to pay $30 where, I was paying $5, but our albums would scratch easily.
Right. Or they'd warp a certain way.
Warp. Yeah.
Though this is 180, by the way.
There you go. Yeah. I threw a number out there, but 180 grams. Yeah. So,
I didn't even open this one.
That's
this is
you like it that much, huh?
Yeah. I always like the count, on the vinyl, like what number, copy you had or whatever. I mean, they probably reprinted this so many times now at this point, but But yeah, like the different and the colors too. They have all the different vinyl
Color
colors.
vinyl.
Yeah, as a collector's
I
item,
think some of those are so cool.
people are like trying to collect all of them, which is, I guess, kind of a way similar to comics, like variants, like trying to get you to
Right.
buy the
That's
album multiple times.
That's how I thought of it too. Yep.
Yeah, it's all a marketing ploy. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
But I'll buy it though.
Right. It's gonna get me to buy it. Yeah, I saw that there's like a gold record version of that Silk Sonic album. I was like, oh, I kind of wish I got that one.
I know. I'm always trying to talk myself out of it. I'm like, I don't need a color, do I? I just go with the original. You know,
would be cool. Yeah, but
yeah, would it be cool? Yeah.
It's just like comics. It literally is just like
it. Really is. It's the same thing.
Yeah, the more I was going down into it, was like, oh, you even have outer sleeves and you have inner sleeves. That's just like bags and boards, like
picture discs. I mean, picture discs and Styx did an album, Paradise Theater, that was holographic.
Oh,
and like when you would like tilt it, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's cool. Or I've seen the vinyl where it has, I forget what the imagery is called, but it has the pictures all around it, and when it moves, it creates like a moving image.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah. Yep.
If you guys ever get a chance to go down to Nashville, I know what's his name, Jack White from the White Stripes.
Yep.
He has his studio down there, a whole vinyl making studio, and they, at least they used to. It's been a while since I've been there, but you could go and watch, and they would you basically could just sit outside of the viewpoint or whatever and just watch them press and make vinyl. That was like part of the shtick to like check out. Yeah. Plus to just go and say you were there. That whole thing. Yeah. But it's like small, but it's cool to like see the process, a lot of this stuff. And yeah, certainly it's funny. I mean, I used the word mainstream earlier. It very much has kind of become more of the mainstream style of, if you are collecting music, since so many people just listen digitally nowadays. It's kind of that way to still support the band, still claim that you own it, and go down that route, and also get a cool, you get the big size, so you get to, appreciate the artwork, appreciate the cover, the lyric book if it comes with one, like all that stuff. Yeah, it's just some cool extra stuff.
Yeah, vinyl's definitely come back a lot. But it's expensive. Now that you say it is for sure, just like comics. But anyways, now that you mentioned cover art, we never talked about the cover art. I really love the
cover art was amazing. Yeah.
So I forget the guy's name. I saw him mention it. I'll have to look it up again. But yeah, he did say all 3 albums were done by the same guy. I forget who it was, but yeah, really cool to get. I guess this is kind of like supposed to be Tobias. He always wears those top hats. Yeah. Just some really cool detail in the chest here, or the wagon, I guess you can call it.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed
That's very cool.
Yeah. Oh, in the back too. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, Noah mentioned last show, buying an album just because the album cover, and I said that I've done that.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of album that I would buy just because the album cover looked cool.
Dude. Heck yeah.
I did that on this. I didn't show it off, but I did that as well. I put it on, and it was like kind of weird. I'm like, what did I find? It was like a $3 bin.
What'd you do? Pick up a Frank Zappa album?
It reminded me of SpongeBob music. I'll just say that.
Oh, there you
go. It was interesting, but yeah, no.
All right, you guys ready for your next project? Because it's my pick.
Yeah, do you have it now? Do you want to share?
Well, like I said, I've thought hard about it, and we talked about, well, if we've, depending on what we've heard and stuff like that. And I think that we need to do a deep dive on the first Boston album.
Oh, awesome.
Okay. And the reason I say that is the discussion about compression today.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
All right. So, I think I know Noah has it on vinyl. He's running to get it.
I love it. I was gonna. When you asked before, I was like, yeah. I was like, no, I never listened straight through. I definitely know, the at least 2 of the hits, but there it is.
Yep.
So
Noah,
I love how you knew what I was going to do.
Yeah.
So when you look at that album cover, what are you seeing?
I see spaceships, but with flying cities on top of them. I
Yeah.
love this. I love this album cover too.
Yeah, but you're missing a very important part of that album cover.
Is
They're
it
not.
made?
They're not just spaceships.
Oh, are they mushrooms?
They're guitars. Oh my god.
They're guitars.
Oh, I totally missed
I
that.
totally missed that.
Oh, I can see it. Okay, holy
yeah,
crap.
yeah. You see well, my
Yeah.
finger. Yeah, you see
Yeah.
With the neck. Yep, those are ovation guitars.
Amazing.
Wow,
never
cool.
knew that. Never knew that.
So, we'll figure out what date we're going to do this. But I want you guys to put your headphones on, sit back. That is a headphone album. Put your headphones on, sit back, and listen to the album.
I'm in. I am
Is this
in.
any special? Ooh, it's a color. I forgot about this.
I'm going over to Noah's house. We're gonna jam out to that vinyl.
Ooh.
Oh, you got the blue.
Ooh,
Right.
check
I'm
that
pixelating
out.
like crazy here.
Yeah, a little bit. We can
Oh,
still
yeah.
see it here. Yeah, that's a cool color.
That
Nice.
is cool. That is cool. Yeah. Interesting.
Very
Oh,
cool.
I'm ready for this.
Well, there's the homework. We got that and Conan we got to
Yep.
watch, Noah. So get
Yep.
ready.
I'm ready for it.
Awesome. Yeah, so we'll figure out the date. We'll share it on Instagram or something. So for those watching, just keep an eye out for that stuff. We'll get it out there to you. I know the rest of this month's pretty slammed for me, but maybe early November. But yeah, we'll throw some dates out there, see what works.
Yeah,
for
we'll
all of us.
figure it out. Yeah.
All right.
But guys, this is the next one.
Cool,
Right
man.
here.
Looking forward to it.
I'm ready for like a deep dive of this album because it's been a while for me since I've heard this. So
Nice.
This is gonna be fun.
Well, just a reminder, if you guys are not connected to Noah and John, make sure you do so. I put their links in the descriptions below. If you missed the first episode with us talking about Wild Cherry's self-titled album, do yourself a favor and go check it out because it was a great discussion. And on top of that, we also share a little bit more about ourselves as far as what we're into. So check that out as well. The link's in the description. Otherwise, keep an eye out for us over on Instagram. We'll share when we're doing our next live stream. I think we'll wrap it up. So until next time, we will talk to you later.